6 long years I have taught in South Carolina. So who else would you listen to hear how to get a teaching license in South Carolina? Stay tuned to the end of this video where I'll share with you the requirements to get a teaching license in South Carolina, as well as my personal experience as a teacher in South Carolina and transitioning from a J1 to an H1B visa. Let's go. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now, if you're joining this platform for the first time, my name is Dr. Britton, and on this platform, I share with you how you can get a teaching job here in the United States, as well as I have been doing a series of providing you with information on how to get a teaching license for the different states. People have been sharing the states they're interested in, and if you check, there is a playlist that will provide you how to get a teaching license for the specific states that I already shared. Stay tuned to the end so you can learn more. And if these are information that are of interest to you, then you may need to subscribe to this channel and turn your notification bells on. And oh, before you go ahead and touch that thumbs up button so that you don't forget to like this video and share with somebody who may need this information. So let's get straight into it. What are the requirements to teach in South Carolina? Now, I came to South Carolina as a J1 teacher, and I was issued a international teaching license. I didn't even know I had a license because some of the things you're not educated on when you transition here as a J1 teacher. Should I say you are not totally in the know of the background work that takes place in order to get you here. You know, you're just excited to come to work in the United States. They might have said it, but you did not hear it or you did not read it. But I learned later that I did have an international teaching license. I also learned that all teachers that come on J1 program sponsors have to be eligible for a teaching license. And that teaching license that is issued is usually an international teaching license. However, if you want to teach after your J1 program sponsor has ended, you'll have to transition to a regular teaching license that is issued to what we would say American citizens who are teaching in South Carolina. So let's take you through this journey. So, if you've been watching my channel for a period of time, you would have heard me say time and time again that one of the most important parts that you would need to do in order to teach in the United States is to get your credentials evaluated. At that time, I did not even know the importance of the credential evaluation, and I've learned over the years that is very vital. So, if you are planning to teach in the United States, go ahead and get your credentials evaluated. What I mean by that is you are going to seek a credentialing body that is accepted in most of the states in the United States to evaluate your degrees. What they're checking for, they want to make sure that your bachelor's degree, which is the minimum requirement to teach in the United States, they want to check that your degrees are equivalent to a US degree. So I did get my credentials evaluated and I did provide that to my program sponsor. And my program sponsor used that information along with my years of experience to get me an international teaching license. I did not have to do anything personally for my program sponsor to get that license. From my profile that was created through my application, they used that information to apply for my international teaching license through the South Carolina Department of Education. Now, some program sponsor will take all that work on and they will make sure you have an international license. Some program sponsor will provide you with steps on how to look about your international teaching license. Whichever way, you are going to need an international teaching license if you're coming on a J1 program sponsor. So, having an international teaching license, and I spent 5 years on my J1 visa, I wanted to transition from J1 to H1B. This is when I was notified by the HR department that if you are to transition to H1B, then you'd have to do your teaching licensure exams. Now, it's kind of funny, let me say this, that my bachelor's degree is in primary education I was trained to teach elementary age kids in my home country, which is Jamaica. But when I got here to the United States, I was certified, or should I say, I was licensed as an early childhood educator. I'm not even going to explain that there was another young lady that came with me on the same program. We did the same degree in Jamaica, and she was certified or licensed as an elementary teacher, but I was certified as an early childhood educator. Now, I've never taught early childhood. Well, yeah, grade 1 and 2 in Jamaica is considered early childhood, but early childhood like kindergarten, basic school years, those things. Anyway, I was certified as an early childhood educator, meaning now I have to do my teaching licensure exam in early childhood education. This is where the hard part came in because that teaching licensure exam for early childhood was totally different from what my background was as a primary trained teacher. For that early childhood education, exam, it was a lot of educational theories, um how the babies develop, because they're looking at kids from age 2 on up, when my background was in maybe grades 1 to grade 6 in Jamaica for elementary, or it goes up to grade 9 sometimes. So it was kind of challenging that now I have to be learning these new content to do my early childhood education. And in South Carolina, the exam that you do to get your teaching license is the praxis. So I had to study for the early childhood praxis. The good thing about it is just one content, one exam, and then you need to do the PLT, which basically, if you're a teacher, the PLT is going to be easy. So I had to do two exams to get my teaching license to transition to H1B. However, people who were elementary certified, they had to do like reading, social studies, science, math. So at that time, I was kind of happy, like, okay, God knew why I was licensed, an early child educator. Anyway, so we're going to look at the website for the South Carolina Department of State. We're going to look at the different types of license, and then we're going to go and look at how you can apply. Let me say this. If you are living outside of the United States, you can apply for a teaching license in South Carolina. However, you should pass your exam first. That's the praxis. As I mentioned before, the praxis is what is used with South Carolina. Now, there are different places you can get materials from to study with for praxis, and study.com is one of them. Study.com has helped a lot of teachers to study the materials for the different exams, because it's not just for praxis. Whichever exam that you would be practicing to do, whether it's Texas, the praxis, the gaze, you can get materials on study.com to help you in studying for these exams. You can check out study.com. Their link is in the description below, as well as if you need a 25% off the first month, you can also use the code or the link that is shared in the description there. Not the code, I'm sorry, the link. So study.com is very good for helping with, preparing you for these exams. All right. And yes, you can do it remotely, but you have to select remote when you apply. So as you can see, I did just pull up this page where we're looking specifically at certification. I will leave the link in the description below so you can check this out for yourself as well. They talk about the certification types and the different types of certification that South Carolina offer. They have the initial certificate. That's the one I had to transition to when I was transitioned from J1 to H1B. I had an initial certificate. The initial certificate is valid for 3 years. And let me tell you this, with the initial certificate, you cannot do any add-ons to it. So if you are planning to, transition to teach a different subject in that first 3 years on your initial certificate, you cannot add anything to it. You just have to keep that. Even if you did the exams and pass it, you cannot add it until after that 3 years. So the good thing about the initial certificate is that if if it expires after the first 3 years and you did not meet the requirements to transition to a professional certificate, then you have to reapply for another initial certificate. Now, the next certificate that they offer is the provisional initial certificate. It also is for 3 years. It's an initial certificate and it may be issued at the request of an employing district to an individual who has accepted all requirements of an approved college or university teacher preparation program. So look at the difference with the initial certificate and the provisional initial certificate. Then we have the professional certificate. This is the one you would aspire to get. It is a renewing professionals. It is renewable. It is valid for up to 5 years, and you can add on different subject areas that you're interested to teach on your professional certificate. We have the limited professional and we have the retired education certificate as well as the internship certificate. You can go ahead and read up some more on those different types of certificate. So if you look on my screen, you would notice that there are different pathways to get a teaching license in South Carolina. You have application advisement there, how to apply, educator services. We have apply through traditional pathways, apply through work-based CTE pathway, alternative route certification programs. Then they also cater to international educators. So if you're an international teacher, and I'm assuming most of you will be watching this, you're international educators, this is the pathway that you would choose. So I say apply for international pathways. Okay. International teachers applying for initial certification must meet the same requirements as a local teacher and must submit completed application as indicated below. International applicants are individuals with appropriate immigration status or visas such as H-1B, full permanent resident, etc. However, as I mentioned earlier, if you're outside of the United States, you can still apply, but you would need to pass the licensure exam first, which is the praxis. International educators holding a standard current educator credential issued by another state may be eligible to apply for a South Carolina certificate without completion of a South Carolina's testing requirement. Meaning, if you're living in a different state, you're an international teacher, you're teaching in North Carolina or Georgia, and you want to teach in South Carolina, you may be eligible to get a license in South Carolina without doing the exams. Okay, maybe reciprocated. However, as I mentioned earlier, you definitely have to get a course by course evaluation and degree equivalency to apply. They want to see that your degree is I want to see that your degree is equivalent to a US degree. So here's the application process. There's a checklist for international certificate applicants. I'm going to check that later for us to look at it. But the first thing you need to do is to create your user account and submit a standard application through My SC Educator portal. Once you submit a copy of the visa or other documentation verifying a valid immigration status, then you want to provide a copy of your course by course evaluation. Submit your official transcript from all regionally accredited institutions attended in the United States, if applicable, and complete the fingerprinting and criminal history review process. Then you also need to get an experience verification form. That is something to show that you have experience outside of the United States and you pay your non-refundable application fee. If you look on my page, you see My South Carolina Educator portal. That's where you would start to create your account. If you notice also, it provides for you an overview of the SC Educator portal. There's a video you can watch. Submitting requests in My Educator portal, there's another video you can watch. So I will not go in details. It's kind of straightforward for you. Here's the contact information. If you need to ask questions, you can send emails to certification@ed.sc.gov. That's their phone number there. That's the contact information if you're interested in getting more information on how to get your teaching license in South Carolina. So it's kind of laid out step by step on the website. I know it still might be a lot for some people who have not done the process before, but that's how I'm going to come in. If you need someone to guide you throughout the process, you can also reach out to me on supremacyconnect.com, where I can provide for you a one-on-one guidance or one-on-one service to help you throughout the process. It comes with a small fee, but you can check that out on supremacyconnect.com. So just to recap, to start your application process, if you follow this checklist, you can basically do it on your own. Read the webpage for international initial certification applicants. Gather the documentation you will need as part of the application process. Create your account, and the link is there where to create your account. Submit the non-refundable application processing fee of $105 online through the portal. Complete the fingerprinting process and criminal records. Review the detailed instructions that will be available. um, Review information on submitting forms and documents. And notice these are all linked, so you can see that if you are not sure what they're talking about, you can click on those links to get additional information. It says submit a copy of your course by course evaluation, and it should be by NACE's organization or AICE organization. Do not submit out of country credentials or transcript. They're going to need a credential evaluation. Request an official transcript from each regionally accredited college or university you have attended in the United States. So they want a credential evaluation for the transcript that was done outside of the United States. For example, if you're living in Jamaica, then you got to get those credentials evaluated. If you studied in the US, they don't need that to be evaluated, but they're going to need the official transcript. All right. Submit your official report verifying a passing score. As I mentioned earlier, you have to pass your praxis to get your license in South Carolina, as long as you transition from J1 to H1. And request each employer where you have worked as an educator after completing your experience verification form. So if you've taught outside of the US, they need that company to complete your experience verification form. If you taught in the US, they also need an experience verification form from the school in the US. If you need assistance, you can contact the Office of Educator Services. I hope you learned something from this video. Go ahead and put your questions in the comment section below. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them below. I know I went off talking about my experience and you might not be clear on all of this, but I'm sure this checklist is straightforward and you can learn a lot from it and start the process for your South Carolina license. Again, if you did not like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, share this link with somebody who may need information, and I will see you next time. Bye.